be presenting on behalf of my firm. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say the name. It's okay. So anyway, the site is located in this place called Wayanad, which is on the northern side of Kerala. For those of you who don't know, I'm sure majority of the people sitting here, when they hear the name Wayanad, have a certain set of impressions that's coming to your head, which is a lot of animals, forest, mountains, cloudy hills, tea plantations, and things like that. Everything that's nature's cue. But unfortunately, we didn't have any of these in our site. That kind of led to the first challenge that we had. The only positive thing that we could take from the site was a view towards the beautiful paddy fields on the southeast. So I don't know if it is really beautiful, but then, as architects or designers, we are taught to be able to, appreciate the little things the site offers. So for us, it was really beautiful. And the second challenge is that it was a very little site and too many requirements. The requirements of the client was basically that of a 5-star resort. And the site was just 4 acres of land, and that too very close to the town. So you can see that there is a lot of other built fabric along the sides of the site. The third challenge is that it was a steep contoured site. So there was a contour difference of around 14 meters from the top of the yard to the bottom of the yard, and that actually posed a challenge to us. And since it was a requirement of a 5-star resort, we had to do there was a lot of area requirement, a lot of amenities programs had to be incorporated. So we thought of doing a vertical planning, but again, we had a problem with the site. We had a 15-meter height restrictions in the site. So from the basic average yard level, it was supposed to be less than 15 meters. So this kind of shows a section, how we have oriented the spaces, how we have used the contours, so that cutting and filling can be to a bare minimum. So basically, the solutions to these problems or the challenges kind of became the design of our project. Or in other words, we can say that the design evolved as a response to the topography of the site, the need to orient the spaces to harness the wind, as well as opening up the spaces to the beautiful views of the paddy fields. So, welcome to Saptha Resort and Spa. So I'll just run through the master plan. The master plan can be broken down into 3 blocks. So this is the main block. The linear arrangement of the blocks ensures an undisrupted view of the fields. And then we have the room block. And then we have the conference block. So we have provided a separate entry for the conference block so that, if at all some function, some event is happening there, they don't have to come through the resort. They can have their own parking, they can have their own access. And then, yes, we had a specialty restaurant, again with the same concept. It was placed close to the main entrance so that the people who are coming, the non-residents, they can just park their vehicles over there, have the food, and just leave without entering into the resort. So this is a plan. It's a 1.4 lakh square feet block, and we have there's a lot of built-in. It's like an interplay of built-in open volumes by providing a lot of water bodies and courtyards and welcoming nature into the design. So ground level, basically there's a drop-off and you have the reception block. On the left you have all the BOH and stuff like that. And on the right side you have the room block. And on the lower ground you basically have on the right side you have all the spa, Ayurveda treatment rooms and things like that. On the center you have the restaurant, and on the left you have the services. On the top it's just rooms. So we had 63 rooms in this plot, in this resort. On the west, we have screened the facade with the help of arcanite palms, which is already present in the site. And we have left the landscape to be as wild as possible. So we have done a very non-manicured version of a landscape, very wild and natural. This is a specialty restaurant because we feel that it has to be something that's really contextual. And the people who are coming to the resort, especially the specialty restaurant, has to feel the traditional narratives of the area. So we felt it is important that we do something that's kind of vernacular with the traditional Kerala style architecture and the blocks or the building blocks, what are the material that's available in that particular area. So this is a view of the specialty restaurant. We have a water body in the center. This is a view of the entrance lobby. And we have used a lot of bamboo because it kind of reflects the lifestyle of the indigenous communities of Wayanad. So we have tried to make it as contextual as possible by using these elements and using these materials in different elements of the resort. So there are a lot of such pockets of spaces in connecting two main areas. So the transition space where people walk, we have given them an experience, we have given them something to look at, we have given them small pockets of areas with a lot of courtyards and stuff like that. So that just bringing in a lot of nature, that's all. This is the main restaurant, the all-day dining, and we use the bamboos as a roof, as a ceiling, something which reflects the traditional narrative. And then, the second one is the room block. We have worked on a very basic layout, which is just 5 meter by 7 meters a room and 2 meter balcony. And 2 such rooms basically become the suite room. So we have 63 rooms like that. And we have given, we have tucked in the bathrooms and things like that on the side. And we have given mirrors so that it kind of has increases the volume of the space. Every room actually overlooks the paddy field. The backdrop kind of acts like a backdrop also acts like a partition which defines the living area and the sleeping area. This is the suite room. The banquet hall. Yeah, this is something that talks about the indigenous communities of Wayanad, how we have used those elements, those materials to bring in that rusticity to the building, to the design. So the same materials can be seen in a lot of such elements, in screens and light fixtures and partitions and things like the light. Yeah. So can I just say just one last line? Okay. So in other words, we can say that this is actually operated. The resort is actually owned by the Calicut Cooperative Society, who basically has zero experience in the hospitality sector. But still, they have managed to be one of the leading properties in Wayanad over the course of the last 2 years. And as architects, we are really proud of that. So that's it. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. The floor is open for the jury comments.
Yeah, I think it works. I think, everything works well. I think if, as a program, it's all solved. I think it's some of the lower levels, if you could have worked with actually seeing more of the paddy fields, because at least in the views that you showed, somehow you can work with levels so you see a little bit more. Like in landscape, you learn about these things, like how to create features. I think that would have been quite interesting. You get a good view from the rooms above, but from the lower levels, I couldn't see.
So basically, the contour, we are placed in such a way that almost all the public spaces and the rooms, that includes the IIID treatment rooms and all the 63 rooms, and the public places like, the restaurants, for example, everything basically has a room towards the paddy fields.
No, it's facing the paddy fields.
Facing the paddy fields.
You can't see the paddy fields, at least in the photographs that you showed. You can see it from the rooms above.
In the lower levels,
you really can't see this thing. So a little bit of work in the section would have helped you all actually achieve that level in the restaurants and those lower levels, which would have been, but otherwise it works well.
The restaurant is in the lower level, but still it has a view towards the paddy field. So I don't know. I don't think the section. Because we have actually worked in such a way that every common amenity where there's a gathering of people, we've given a view towards the paddy fields, because that is the only positive thing that we could take from the side. So we've done something like an introverted design where everything that's not facing the paddy field, we have given a space to look at some views or vistas where we've created inside, so that the transition space, when you move from one space to the other, that is experiential to the people.
Okay.
Thank you for the project. I think 7 minutes is not enough for explaining a hospitality project. Definitely not. So I know there are lots of things which you may not have been able to explain or convey. But as a scheme, if I may say, I think your zoning of your back of house area to your public spaces to your room. I think that was quite well worked out, and I think given the site, that's the best you could have done. I like the idea that you have kind of given everything with a view. So view became a kind of a starting point and rather the end point to it. While it was, I like those gestures which you were constantly bringing in, where there was this element of surprise and my only crit would be, this. I felt the traditional, the indigenous people art was more of application rather than an inlay. So that was my only crit. If that could have been, there was an attempt, no doubt. There is an attempt, a very strong attempt. I just felt if it could have been slightly more engaging, it could have been just taken into a farm but it was a great attempt.
Okay,
quite liked it. Thanks.
Yeah, I think given the complexities of the site and the challenges that you mentioned, it's a very commendable kind of project for such a large footprint, One comment, to pick up on what Iype was saying is, I too kind of felt that some intermediate levels which you showed, and maybe that room block at the bottom besides the two large rooms, if it was kind of maybe with a flat roof and maybe the sense of the paddy fields actually began to kind of climb up into the project, maybe not with paddy itself, but you've used like a lot of grasses but I think a kind of outside in kind of a view. I mean, for you the view is only what the people in the room and the restaurant are going to kind of look at, but what happens when the farmer working his paddy field looks up and he sees this huge kind of wall there? And I was wondering if that could be softened a little bit, like you've done on the front of the building, where I saw a lot of planting kind of which was done at the upper level, and maybe each of your balconies could have had far more greenery, so you kind of gave back and kind of screened off the building a little bit more as well. I mean, like it happens at Kandalama or whatever. I mean, there are many examples. But I think a outside-in thing would have also been kind of another way to see the project, So, yeah, that's my comment.
Okay, thank you.